But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
What's up, Faithful? Welcome to another episode of the 49er Faithful UK Live. I'm Paul Hope.
And I'm Nick Ludlam.
Well, everybody, our beloved 49ers are 3-0, baby, following Thursday night football's blowout win of the New York Giants. El Presidente was in attendance for his 50th birthday. And as always, Nick, we have a lot to discuss. But before we get into all things Niners, buddy, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, not too bad. Just about recovered from the lack of sleep. It's always fun having a 1 o'clock in the morning kickoff, but I think we're all in the same. Well, I'd like to say we're all in the same boat. I know a lot of people working. I was not. I was still tucked up in bed at 11 o'clock the following morning. Nice and cozy. How about you, mate? How's things?
Well, we always joke that schedule comes out, Nick. You look at the red-eye games. So thank God for working from home. So for the first time, I actually deployed a cat nap technique. So I went to bed about 10:30, set the alarm for 12:30, and then when the game finished, I forced myself off social media about 5:15. I was able to sleep till 9:15. So if I'm being honest, it didn't really feel that bad to me. But if I'd had to commute to the office, it might have been a bad one. But it's always epic seeing the faithful representing at Levi. But you will have all seen I was very active. El Presidente was giving me the promotional material to put out there. But I believe Alex Simpson may have let the cat out of the bag last week, Nick. But for those eagle-eyed people who may not have noticed, I believe you have your own breaking news that you'd like to confirm.
Yes, it looks like I'm heading out to Levi's as well. Lee was in my DMs. You've been in my DM. Like, yeah, I'm going. So parts of the memorabilia collection are being sold off so that I can head out with all you lovely people and be there for the Bucks game.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this show now for a few months, and to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be possible for a number of years. So once it was confirmed that I was going, I always said I'd shout it from the rooftops. Now, I believe we've got 37 to 38 places confirmed because I know Najee Carragher is coming over now. So on the pod last night, the Fantastic Five will all be in attendance at Levi's, but it looks like we might be joined by James Waters. He's jumped in there, even in all. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, he's going to be able to confirm as an attendee for the gold mine trip. If that happens, he'll be going along to Levi's like me for the first time. So, James, we've got everything crossed for you, buddy, because this is going to be the trip of a lifetime. And I'm absolutely buzzing. Not that I'm counting, Nick, but there's 52 days to get on that plane. Not that I'm counting, buddy.
Oh, that's it. Oh, mate, I've already selected what I'm having for breakfast at the airport.
So, before we get carried away, everybody, with the gold mine, Thursday night football seems such a distant memory. Now, I can't remember the last time the Niners played a Thursday night so early, but I don't know about you, Nick, but it made Sunday such stress-free. I could set my fantasy team lineups. I could watch Red Zone. We had that 3-0 feeling. But first and foremost, Nick, were you quiet or did you get a note slipped under the door from those neighbours of yours? Because you've mentioned that on this show before, buddy.
True. Thankfully, with the new home, it's somewhat better with the soundproofing. So, no knocks on the door, no notes under the door for me to wake up to on Friday afternoon. But all the same, I was not quiet. It's how can I be quiet on a 49ers game? It's not possible. Yeah, well, you've got to shout it from the rafters.
Joined by El Presidente. Evening, chaps. Now, to be honest, I had my red flag warning from Tracy because the kids were in bed, but I managed to keep quiet. I don't know how with the Debo touchdown, which we'll get into later on, but everybody's heard my thoughts on the game because obviously they've listened to the pod. But Nick, what did you make of our fantastic win of the New York Giants? There's one for you, Lee. I got fantastic in for you, buddy.
Does that count as a point against him because it's there, or I don't know? I don't know. I mean, did you watch anything special, any series or anything else like that along those lines there, Paul?
Doesn't
No?
count unless it's
Okay.
on the pod.
Fair enough. I mean, I think it was we wanted to win big because we wanted them to win big for Lee. That's the main reason. Really, any of us wanted them to win massive, but a win is a win. Now, it may not have been the most perfect performance, but maybe it was the performance we needed because it wasn't aesthetically pleasing to watch. But I think we started to see what Brock can be. I think more than anything, it wasn't the most beautiful and polished performance in the world. He didn't look magnificent. He didn't look like a world beater, but he did what was needed. And you had a Giants defense that came at him, and they kept coming at him and 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 at him all game long. I think there's a stat out there that was it on 33 of the 39 dropbacks, he got blitzed. That's more. It's since these things really were starting to be recorded for some time. Has 84.6% of his dropbacks he was blitzed. So he's not going to look perfect. He is still, at the end of the day, only not that far into his NFL career. Yet he still goes and completes 20 of 31 passes for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I'm calling it not aesthetically pleasing. It's crazy, but it's the kind of game we needed to see from him to show what kind of player is Brock Purdy. And that's what I was looking at. You look at his total yardage, 310 yards, 25 of 37. Happy days. The Giants tried everything to get at Brock. They went at him in a big way, and it didn't faze him. He still kept going. The Niners kept putting points on the board, and that's all really we needed, because now other teams are going to look at that moving forward for the rest of the season. Well, okay. Oh, hang on, maybe we can't just keep going at him because he'll keep picking us off. And he did this without Brandon Ayuk, who's been his man over the middle. Other than CMC, Brandon has been that go-to guy over the middle who's been getting the separation. So you start blitzing him when he has all of his weapons, bang. You're going to be starting to talking about a performance which is far more aesthetically pleasing. And then you start to have to put Brock Purdy into the MVP conversation if teams are going to keep doing that. And he keeps coming back with the same answers to that type of defense. It was fantastic. You can't ask for more than that. We are still 3-0 at the end of the day. You can slag the team off all you want. The 49ers are still perfect. And that's all you can actually ask for at the end of the day. I'm chuffed to bits, mate. What did you think?
Well, I'm smiling because it sounds like someone's done the homework. So you pretty much quoted the stats word for word, like I did on the pod last night. So on our pod, Gareth has set as a task, Nick, where we have to come up with like a witty anecdote or 3 words to talk about. So I started by saying Thursday Night Football was an perfect performance from Purdy. Now, you went on social media. I don't live tweet during the games because, unfortunately, given that we're kind of becoming a bit of a big deal. I'm joking when I'm saying that. There's always someone out there that will screenshot, will tag you for the receipts. So I do a lot of my talking in my DMs or in the group chat with the 49erFaithfulUK because sometimes things can happen. You can be emotional. The roller coaster was back a little bit. I mean, we looked at the 15-play, 65-yard drive, which opened the game. It took 6 minutes off the clock, but it ended with a field goal. And I was saying last night how Purdy had 0 interceptions. And as Lee rightly pointed out, because he's watching, we got away with a couple. But as I said, Nick, you make your own luck in the NFL. And I have some non-49ers friends, yes, Brett, friends that support other teams. And they like to use the stick to beat me, that Brock Purdy isn't all that. We're not going to win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. And Martin Hughes put a post in the group earlier, or he put a tweet out there, which is saying he's kind of not wanting Purdy to have an off game or a loss. Because what's going to happen, Nick, is those kind of people are going to jump all over it. And like you said, He put up a career high for a regular season game, Purdy. That touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel was as deep as the come, like Lee said on the pod last night, where Purdy was to where the ball went and how Samuel brought that in. That's what we've been crying out for as 49ers fans. Now, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of bashing Jimmy G. We all saw how Jimmy played on Sunday for the Raiders. And I think it's safe to say that Kyle Shanahan and this team has the full confidence of number 13.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of wobbly passes that I would want back, but they didn't take the ball out of his hand. Rookie quarterbacks in this league are supposed to wilt under pressure. And the New York Giants were always going to be aggressive. But, I mean, you quoted the stat there was about 80% of the blitzers.
Plus.
Bryant, who we'll get to in a minute, Bryant, because I know you met Lee. He put there 885%. It just felt like the Giants that was their game plan. And what I like with Brock Purdy is he had that determination. I mean, the touchdown pass to Ronnie Bell, I'm smirking because the QB school broke down Brock's performance. And JT says, I would have told him not to throw that ball. Shows what I know. And then he showed the clip and Brock Purdy puts it in the end zone and Ronnie Bell pulls it down. And you just think, what more do people want? We haven't hit the ground running. We're not firing on all cylinders. We don't need to be. This time last year, the sky was falling in until we traded for CMC. We're 3-0, baby. We're at top of the NFC West. I'm beaming from ear to ear. And I'm fully on board the Brock Express, Nick.
You've got to be. How can you not be? Let's be honest, right? The 49ers are still actually unbeaten when Brock Purdy plays that full game. Even if you go for the game before, when he comes in for Jimmy, when he got hurt, when we were all out there in the gold mine experience last year, he is still perfect finishing the game. You can't count the Eagles game. He basically had 3 snaps. He couldn't actually play. But even if you put it in, 11-1 as a starter, the only loss is the Eagles, where he couldn't physically throw the ball. So, in effect, the man is still basically perfect. You can't ask for anything more from a rookie quarterback. You just can't. If you're asking for more, all you're doing is protecting some previous opinion where you thought that Trey Lance was going to be this Hall of Famer. That's all you're doing is protecting your opinions. You're not supporting the team. You're going out there to nitpick. The man is still perfect when he starts and finishes a game fit. You can't argue with that. Find me another rookie quarterback in the league that can say the same thing.
I mean, Collins put an interesting comment there where he says, we hear a lot about the interceptable passes, yet Brock has the least amount of interceptions of any starting QB, and it's not even close. And as our good friend Cubs has put there, Herbert, Stroud, Brock. And I think what goes against Brock is we talk about these explosive players in the NFL. So that's what the NFL constitutes as a passing play of at least 20 yards or a running play of at least 15 yards, Nick. Now, I alluded to this on the pod last night, but I think Najee stole my thunder. We went off track. We never came back. So I've got it here. So we had Deebo Samuel with a 40-yard reception. George Kittle with a 29-yard reception. Another Deebo Samuel 30-yard reception. We had the Elijah Mitchell 18-yard rush, which again, hello 25. Welcome to the party. Deebo Samuel 27-yard touchdown. Joanne Jennings 24-yard reception. And like to say, Nick, what's the best way to beat the blitz? With a big play. Long double-digit drives aren't sustainable in today's NFL with the way the defenses are set up. And you've got to remember, you said it. You, Lee, David Betteridge, David Ellicott. You can't repeat on air what you said when Brock Purdy took to the field against Miami.
No, we can't.
Would you ever have thought if you'd put a pause there and a narrator came in and said, in 6 months' time, you're going to be talking about this kid? How are we talking about him now? Would you think that's fair to say?
There is no way I'd have believed you. I'd have said you're taking something you shouldn't be. To be honest, it's the only way to look at it. Nobody expected it. You can't say anyone did. Maybe there might have been some inklings from people that know him personally, but none of us did. You know, none of us are Iowa State fans. We didn't watch him for 4 years playing there. None of us knew what he was going to do. It's the most amazing surprise you could ask for. Yeah, he came in against Miami. He seemed to almost elevate the team somewhat in that game, having taken over from Jimmy, and he's just never let go. He's just kept going, and you can't ask for more from this young man. You just can't. You know, I've said it already on tonight. If you're having a go at bashing him, you're only doing it because you had an opinion that Trey Lance was going to be the next great thing. And fact is, you were wrong. You were just wrong. You know, it is what it is. Yes, he does. Absolutely, Ty. Nothing untowards.
No,
The only thing I get given is from my doctor.
Can't even drink alcohol these days, Ty. So it's going to be a sobering experience sat next to some of these chaps in the gold mine. But it's great for Ty to join us. So again, we'll give a cheeky plug. Ty met up with Lee, recorded an awesome interview, which is out on YouTube. We've promoted that. Go give that a watch. Go give Ty a follow. He's flying the flag for the 49er Faithful UK, and I cannot wait until he meets 40 of us Brits in November. We're going to need more cameras and microphones, Ty. That's all I'm going to say, buddy. But no, I mean, I think for me, Nick, we're on the Brock Purdy, so we'll keep going down there. Saying he had a bad game for me is a lazy take. And I think Simon put it in the comments there. Some people have got a narrative that they need to stick to. Now, I make no apologies. I'm a 49ers fan. If Sam Darnold was QB1, I'd be supporting him. I tried this time last year to kind of jump on the Trey Lance bandwagon a little bit because I kind of saw last year as my first proper year doing content creating, and I had a bit of a reputation for sitting on the fence. So I thought, you know, I'll nail my flag to the mast. I'll go all in on Trey Lance, and like you say, then Trey got injured, then we got Jimmy back, and then we talked about that Miami game because it's relevant. Because, like you said, as soon as Jimmy went down, we all thought the season was done. And now we're sat here looking at how Brock Purdy's playing. What I like is I like his poise. I like his presence. I like the fact that he's a captain on this team. And Kyle has full confidence in him. Now, my only criticism is Brock, Kyle, if you're watching, I needed 37 points for my score prediction. I have no doubt Gowland was in your ear when you hit 30 and there was time on that clock. Because I would rub my hands together thinking I'm guaranteed to get this score, especially when Huff did the pick. I was willing him to run that one in. But all jokes aside, I'm sharing the leaderboard with Lee. So if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, on the 49er Faithful UK pod, we're having a bit of fun with the score predictions. Now, Nick doesn't do score predictions.
No.
So we get so many points for the right score for a win. So me and Lee are tied on 19 points. Nadji's third on 15, and Gareth is last. Because Nick, Gareth reminded me, you dodged a bullet because I couldn't come on after the Steelers game because I had a family emergency. And you and Gareth had both pointed to a loss in that game.
Did.
Now, I think Lee let you off quite lightly. Now, we all laughed when we did our season preview at the start, and I was going win, win.
Dude, I'm fine being wrong. I am not so precious about my opinions. I'll defend my thought process behind it, but the fact is, I was wrong. You know, it could have been one of those games where we lost, but we didn't. The Niners went out there and they won, and they did pretty damn well, to be fair. So yeah, I'll happily take the L on that one. If the Niners are going to shove it back in my face, yeah, you go for it. You do that. Every time I say they're going to lose, I would more than happy see that happen.
As Colin said there, over 300 yards in a bad game. Now, I've got the stats here, Colin. The Niners outgained the Giants 441 yards we got to their 150. To put it into context, Debo, who I want to show a bit of love tonight. Yes, Connor Ryan, I got the text. Your boy Debo, star of the show in my eyes. 129 yards, 6 catches, a touchdown. A career night from Debo Samuel. So he nearly outscored the whole New York Giants offense, which wasn't hard. I mean, we'll get onto the defense in a moment. I do want to talk about Daniel Jones briefly before we move on, Nick, because for me, I did feel as if we were going to see a bit more of him used in the rushing game. And I was really surprised to see him literally not rush at all. And without Barkley, they don't have a run game at all. But it's interesting to see. Mr. Jones was picking up $46 million for this year, and Brock Purdy's picking up, I think, what, $880,000?
Yeah, I think they worked out, wasn't it? Al Michaels got paid more for calling that game than Brock Purdy will make all season or something ridiculous like that. I mean, that's insane.
See, breaking news, everybody. Ty Alston, we didn't hear it from Ty, but at one point in the fourth quarter, Lee disappeared from the gold mine, and there was a guy on the field. Yeah, he's not competitive at all, or Ty. Not competitive at all. And yes, straight there. Now, another bit of news, whilst we're talking Lee Gowland, because he might disappear off from us later on. Do you think it's a strange coincidence, Nick, that John and Kyle get their multi-year contract extensions announced the same time Lee Gowland's in the Bay Area? I mean, coincidence?
No, definitely not believing that. So El Presidente was in on there. You can see it's got his paw prints all over it.
But to be fair, just before we went live tonight, everybody, I think Lee is already aware there's an NFL International Fan of the Year nomination out there. So obviously, I've tweeted the link out. I think you all know where I'm going with this. We need to get Lee Gowland as many nominations for that award, because I cannot think of a better man to be the International Fan of the Year. The fact that he flew out for his 50th birthday, the work he's done promoting our group, his interview on Talk Sport. If you'd seen the shot of fireball he'd had about 7 hours before the interview, it was more impressive, I'm telling you, because that shot of fireball would be illegal on this side of the pond. That was not a shot. That was a pretty decent whack of fireball. Who knows, Alec? All we know is he keeps disappearing across the pond. So all I'm saying. But it wouldn't be a 49er Faithful UK live if we didn't jump all over. So again, CMC, because we're gonna focus on the offense before we move to defense. So there's a lot of talk heading into this game, Nick, about the usage from CMC. Will we running him into the ground now?
Yeah,
I alluded to Mitchell's explosive play earlier, but that aside, we were heavily leaned on CMC again. What's your thoughts on that? Are you worried? Was it something you just felt like is the hot hand? What's your thoughts?
At this point, the kind of usage that happened, I was definitely happier with. You don't want to see the man run into the ground. You know, at the end of the day, we are supposedly a run-first team, but to have Mitchell back in and taking some of that strain, allowing CMC to set, just to come off and take a breather. Just to have that moment. And Jordan Mason was even had a cheeky little appearance towards the end. You do want to see more of these guys, because if something were to happen to CMC, fingers crossed, touch wood, anything, you want these guys to be up to speed to take over if necessary. I was much, much, much happier seeing CMC on the sidelines that little bit more. But again, it's going to be heavy towards him. He's the highest paid running back in the league. He's going to be the man he's going to take the majority of the snaps at running back. And so it is what it is. But yeah, I think Cubs, you've got it right, mate. You want him fresh for the whole season. I would like to see more and more of Elijah Mitchell, more and more of Jordan Mason. Initially, I thought next week would have been the perfect opportunity to see a lot more Elijah Mitchell and a lot more of Jordan as well. Although I think the Cardinals aren't going to be the pushover we thought they were. I mean, Josh Dobbs has got that Cardinal offense playing fairly well. They're not doing as badly as I thought they would. So I don't know, maybe they're going to have to be able to see a lot of CMC in the first half. Hopefully we'll build up a nice lead, and at which point we can go, okay, second half, you're going to drop down to maybe 30% of the snaps, where we're going to see 50% of it going to Elijah from the second half, and then another 20% going to Jordan Mason. Maybe build the lead, then bring them off. But,
I mean, to be fair, when you look at the snap count, I mean, Shanahan did give Mitchell more than a dozen touches, which was a dozen more touches than he got the week before. We saw a sprinkle of Jordan Mason in there. And whilst McCaffrey is a game changer, I nearly said it. I can say it. It's well documented because it's not the podcast. So at 23, he's my latest man crush. He's definitely my next jersey. But he was more consistent this week. So before everyone jumps into my mentions, what I mean was there wasn't that big explosive player, but he was putting together the chunk yardage. And obviously, Shanahan trusts CMC. You're right, Cubs. We do need him fresh for the whole season. To be honest, I'm not sure where TDP is. And as Mr. Simpson has put there, he's not worried at the moment because he's not taking the big hits from the linebackers like he normally does. And I think what we're remembering is obviously before he came to us, anyone who plays fantasy football, you knew CMC was fantastic, but the usage by the Panthers was unsustainable. And I don't think we will use CMC in that regard. You pointed out there, we had no Brandon Ayuk on Thursday night. So obviously CMC, Debo, Kittle, Ronnie Bell got some of the touches. Brandon Ayuk comes back. The Cardinals, I think they did every 49ers fan a smile on their Sunday. As Colin put there, he's already texted his Cowboy supporting cousin. Now, a lot of people were saying to me that the Cowboys was the big test for the Niners. So there was a lot of shocks around the NFL at the weekend. It's probably done us a favour because obviously we didn't want to take this game lightly coming up on Sunday night. But I think given the fact that they've beaten the Cowboys and they're playing with a strange sense of freedom, the Cardinals, like you said, Josh Dobbs, journeyman, QB, got nothing to lose. Technically, you could say that the tanking, but you've got to remember the players go out on that field. In this sport, you can't take your eye off the ball. You can't take your foot off the gas. You're playing for your job at the end of the day. No, Jamie, it doesn't count. It only counts on the podcast. It doesn't count on the live.
I'm going to say it counts.
No,
I'm going to say it counts.
Do you want to give score predictions moving forward, Nick? Because we can go from there.
Let's speak English.
So, as Ty says there, the Cardinals play hard. Now, before we move off the Giants game, Ty, and everybody else in the comments, I do want to show the love to the defensive line. I think it was their best game of the season. Yes, we're only 3 games in. But it shows when our linebackers are what I perceive to be quiet because the defensive line did a lot of the dirty work on Thursday night. And I gave him a cheeky nod last night, but I'm going to get your thoughts. Javon Kinlaw, looking like a first-round pick at last, Nick?
Let's see. It's 3 games into the season. You know, there's a long way to go. You've got to hope he can stay fit. But if he keeps this up, he's certainly proving his doubters wrong. Let's be fair to the young man. I've been really happy with him. He's done well in the run game. He's been eating up those double teams, allowing other guys around them to go and get. Well, they're the ones that are going out and getting the stats. But he's doing the grunt work in the middle to allow them to do that. It's been really fun watching the defensive line. I mean, I don't know about you. I nearly screamed the house down. Honestly, I swear, I did wonder if they did hear me when they didn't give the safety to Bosa. I could have sworn that was he. But there we are. I was not happy about that in Swansea. I think they heard me in Port Talbot.
It was nice to see 97 get his first sack of the season. But the reason I mentioned Kinlaw is he added several pressures on Thursday. And if he can keep that form, it makes our interior defensive line even more scary. Hargrave has hit the ground running. Armstead is proven why we were right to keep Armstead and not Buckner. Added to Bosa. And like you said, behind them, you've got Hufanga itching to get involved. Yeah. You've got Fred Warner. You've got Dre Greenlaw, which again, the only knock Thursday night, the penalty on Greenlaw. You could argue that the ball was still in play. He was just going into tackle. But I'm worried he's starting to get a little bit of a reputation. And you know, some of the refs in the league can be a bit flag happy, but equally didn't cost us. Now, to be fair, Rob, we didn't take up his 5th-year option, which is similar to the Giants with Daniel Jones. And if Kinlaw does go on to get paid at the end of the season, but maybe he needed that fire because let's face it, he hadn't lived up to those lofty expectations. Yeah. But he's put the work in the off-season. I know Brad Graham had documented that he'd been working with certain O-line coaches and I'd seen some videos. And I think the team had said it came back to training camp looking lean, looking hungry. But for me, I thought the defensive line was great. Linebackers were quiet. What did you make of the secondary? Because there's a lot of focus on the secondary this year with Steve Wilkes.
There is a vast improvement in the secondary this year on previous years. You could see that. You looked all the way through preseason. There was all that time that Steve Wilkes, even though he's the defensive coordinator, but the amount of time he spent individually with those DBs, and it's showing. The stats are there. They're looking good. I am confident throughout all three layers of that defense. This defense is not going to let up. This is going to be a legendary defense. You could see some serious numbers. They were talking about potentially the defense being talked about in the same lines of the 85 Bears defense. They are phenomenal. Not podcast, more of a show.
Doesn't count, because I tell you, if it counts, I'll be going back and watching all the other ones. Sorry to interrupt you there, Nick, but I'm not having it. I'm not having it. He's only clutching at straws because my bold prediction was he'd say it more than I would say my saying, and I'm winning at the moment. But Lee, why are you panicking? I get excitable. There's a long way to go. I'm going to say it a lot more. So sorry.
That's all right. We'll put some film footage together of all of this, Paul?
Some tape. Yeah, we'll put some tape.
It's worth a try. I'm trying for you, mate. I'm trying. But Wilkes is awesome. He's turning out to be the perfect man for the hire. Really, we've concentrated on getting certain coaches in at certain levels. We already know what Chris Kasarik is bringing to that D-line. We already know what D'Amico brought to the linebackers from his own personal experience. And now you've got Steve Wilkes looking down from on high. I'm a little surprised to hear people giving him a bit of stick for being up in the booth. But if that's where he's seeing his defense best from, leave him be. Well, Chris Kasarik's down there on the line, bringing up that hype. You don't need to worry about that.
Well, I was just about to say, that's quite scary that we do this show together, because that's where I was going to go next. Was a lot of talk about him up in the booth. But you've got the number one defense in the league. You've got Fred Warner on the field. You've got Hargrave on the field. You've got Nick Bosa on the field. Like you said, you've got the defensive line coach who was in the coordinator interview on the sideline. Mm-hmm. Now, if he can see the game better up there, and he can make the necessary adjustments. Hufanga, again, capped off another fine performance with the interception. We all know you win the turnover battle in the NFL, you tend to win the game. Fred Warner I said it was a quiet game. He obviously played a hand in the interception. Now, we're talking defense. So people are going to be surprised I'm going to slip this next player. The defensive player of the night was George Kittle. DB George Kittle. With that knockdown, the seatbelt celebration. That needs to count on the stat sheet. So, again, we just have to mention from there. And as Cubs has put there, Kyle's quotes from the booth in Atlanta. And I just think some people, Nick, we were devastated to lose D'Amico Ryans. Obviously, we wanted to see him go on, get a head coaching job. But the way the defense played last year. But I think that's why the team have done well with the hire of Wilkes. And I think as well, there was some talk. Shanahan might have been on the hot seat. John Lynch was going to the booth at the end of the season for the TV money. The picks for Trey Lance was going to come back to bite us in the bum. And what I like about it, the team have said, look at what we've done since these two have come through the door. Yeah. Look at the players we've drafted and look at the performance. Kyle Shanahan said, judge me on if I'm being competitive. And we're competitive year in, year out. Now, some people, the knock, Nick, is with the 49ers. We need to be challenging for Super Bowls. Now, it's been a long time since we won a Super Bowl. I'm aware of that. I've seen 2 losses in my fandom. But would you rather be the Rams and go one and done and then just disappear into cap hell and irrelevant? Or would you rather be building the roster like we're building and being competitive? I know which one I'd pick. Oh, yeah. But what do you make of it all?
I'm fine with it. Absolutely fine with it. The Niners are going to the playoffs most years, other than the year we lost Bosa. We had a number of key injuries. No team is ever going to overcome those kind of injuries over the course of a season and make a playoffs. It's nigh on impossible. But we are making the playoffs consistently. We are competing. Oh, yes, we haven't made it to the big one each and every time. We kind of did bottle it the time against the Chiefs. We should have won that, realistically. But we are there and thereabouts each and every year. I'd much rather us be pushing for victories every year than push for one season's worth of victories. And now, like you said, look at that Rams stadium against us. It was red. It was red. You know, and I don't want us to sell out for one. We've got a good enough team where we can compete for years, but we are in a point in the league where there are some very, very, very good teams. And selling out for one Super Bowl doesn't actually guarantee you're going to win that Super Bowl. You know, you've got to hedge your bets a little bit. There's nothing to say that, okay, yeah, we go out and sign every free agent. You could still lose the big one, and you're still in cap hell. You still had to ship all your players out, and then you've gone into complete irrelevancy for nothing. So
there's a lot of talk in the chat. So Brian, who is a friend of the show, he was agreeing with what we were saying earlier when we were talking. He was saying that, obviously, dropping the facts in there. Yeah, 30 years. He just wants a Super Bowl. Like I said, Brian, I became a fan of the NFL 2010. Went with the Niners. I've seen 2 Super Bowl losses. Like you said, Nick, the Chiefs one was heartbreaking because 49er Faithful UK Super Bowl meetup. I was surrounded by a lot of the UK faithful. Brian, the dream would be to win multiple. Ty has jumped in there and saying that we're contenders year over year. He would take that opposed to us being like these other teams who hope to have a season over 500. Ray, rather be constantly good rather than 1 year of glory followed by years of misery. Yeah. And as David put there, we are set up for success. Now, the knock on Carl and John is obviously the first round picks. We can't draft anyone. And if you Google the draft picks from Carl and John and you look at the players on our roster, like any NFL team, they're going to get some wrong, but they've got a hell of a lot right. Now, we're not going to go too deep into the Cardinals because it's Tuesday night in the UK. We don't have the injury reports. We don't have the practice reports. And what we're liking at the moment on the 49er Faithful UK, obviously the podcast team on Thursday will be recording the preview show.
We will indeed.
Then we record the review show. And then we have the live. So for me and Nick, we're just going to bask in this glory, beating the New York Giants. Before I move on to everybody's favourite segment, Nick, is there anything that you believe I've missed off from the Giants game before we close the book and we look to move into 4-0 on Sunday?
No, I think we've gone through most of it there, in fairness, haven't we? So
the only thing that I'm worried about is we might be the Sky game on Sunday because I've looked at the late slate. I don't want to be the Sky game because I don't pay for Sky and I don't want my design to be blocked out. If it is, I will deal with it. But before we came live on air, there was nothing to say what the Sky games were. According to Najee Alec, it wasn't a safety because of forward progress of where he picked him and wrapped him up. Najee's more of an expert than I am. I am just a fan. I am no expert, especially after 5 of us.
It's from the point of contact, and apparently that seemed to happen millimeters in front of the line. So,
so Ty, we're doing what we're doing, buddy. We're not quite up to the level of Chapman, Breezy, yourself, but we're slowly climbing that ladder. So, and Bryant, I knew there was one name we've not mentioned.
Still going.
Moody.
Still
what can
going.
You say? We called it.
This is it.
Bryant was rocking that Moody jersey at Levi's. So what I will finish off with the Giants, it was epic to see Lee meet up with Bryant, Jess, Ty, some of the others in the gold mine. I can't wait till we're in the gold mine. Bryant, if you're at the game for the Buccaneers, do come over and say hello, buddy. As I've always said, I've shouted it loud and proud when I'm at Levi's. I want to meet everybody. I want to get photographs. The internet will break, everybody. The internet will break that the 49er Faithful UK is at the gold mine. And it is like he read my mind, because if we are on Sky, that's where I'll be going to watch the game. So more people will be allowed to come and join us. And Lee might buy the Mrs. Moody jersey. He'll probably pay for that comment as she sat right next to me. Hello, Andrea. Hi. It's a compliment, trust me.
It is.
So, Nick, we've got to that time
Come
for
on,
sure.
then.
Now, we were joined by a very special guest last week.
We were.
Don't think neither of us have recovered from Alex Simpson to the point where I didn't invite anyone in this week because I don't know whether I could have coped with another shock. So,
All right, then.
do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
No, come on. Let's get this over and done with.
So, Nick, we're into the season. The 49ers have reached out. They've heard that you're coming over for the gold mine game. Now, they've decided that you're not going to be sat in the gold mine with us. You're going to be flown out a week early. And you're going to be working with a team because Kyle Shanahan likes what you've got up there. He wants your offensive genius. Now, what he's going to let you do, he's going to let you install one play with a team. One play in the playbook, which is just yours, the Nick Ludlam. Now, what's going to happen is on the game, when we're all there at the gold mine, I'm going to set the scene. The 49ers are losing. There's a second left on the clock. We need a touchdown. We're in the red zone. Timeout is taken. Kyle Shanahan calls you over. Now, what he says to you, Nick, is, are we running the Ludlam? Now, if this play works, we know it's your play. The game is won. We all go crazy. You're the hero. However, if the play doesn't work and we lose, and the 49er Faithful UK sat in attendance, now your would you rather is, are you taking that gamble or are you just going to say, no, Kyle, it's up to you?
No,
So are you going to go for glory or are you going to let Kyle take the glory?
I'm fronting up. Run the play. Run the play.
You like the name
I
of the
trust
play,
the men.
don't you?
I trust the men. Yeah, but don't say anything like that to my friends who are down in Plymouth. I promise you that means something very, very different down there.
So as Simon said there, the reverse option, jet sweep, hook and ladder. And as Ty has put there, so you heard it here first, Nick would go. I like it, Nick. I thought you might have took the easy option, said, I'm leaving it to Kyle Shanahan. But
run the play.
I thought I'd give you a quite nice, easy one tonight rather than, be a bit more of my evil side.
That's fair enough. Well, I'm going to be quite nice as well, actually. In fact, I'm leaving this one fairly open-ended for you because obviously, yeah, we're all heading over. A small part of Levi's is going to have a very distinct British twang soon. So I've gone for the goldmine angle myself. Now, mine's actually quite simple. So, game's done. Niners have won. We've beaten the Bucks. We're all heading down to go onto the field. But little do we know that there's someone who's going to come out of that tunnel to come towards us. They're obviously going to go and say hi to Dante Whitner and have a little chat with him on the sideline. But they're also going to come over to us. Now, as I said, it's going to be nice and easy. Now, would you rather meet a player from the current roster, or would you rather meet an alumni player? Now, I'm not going to be off. There's no horrible caveat. I can see you waiting for one.
I was waiting for the but. I was waiting for the but. I was like,
there is no but this time. I'm going to leave it be. We're all happy. We're 3-0, baby. We're perfect. It's all good. So what would it be? Are you going to go alumni or current roster?
Given that Joe Nedney blew me away at the official watch party last year when he actually asked me to pose for a photo with him. He was texting it to all his friends while I was there. I've ticked that box and I'm smiling because I think given that we'd have just watched the game, and I'm going to say current player. I probably would say current player, and I'm hoping it'd be the player whose jersey I'll be rocking on the night. I haven't decided which one that is yet. I might put a poll on Twitter, but no, I'm going to go for current player. What about you? Would you go for current player or would you go for like a legend? Because I can't say that other word, and you know that fine well. That's why you said
it. Nearly. Oh, so close. Nearly added for you. I'd go alumni. I would. I don't know. Maybe I think I'd probably maybe go with Patrick Willis. As much as I would love to meet some of the current roster, I know the opportunity to meet Patrick Willis, or go with. If you're going to meet the big one, Jerry. That would be something to remember. That's for sure.
Well, Ty, it's all love on this side of the pond at the moment. We're all geared up for the gold mine.
Yeah.
We decided after Alex Simpson's horrendous one last week. Yes, Alec, it was horrendous. You were on the naughty list. When I watched it back, I can't believe you actually came on and asked us that.
Said his name.
Said
his name, Paul.
Simon, to be fair, you have put your name forward again, but Wayne Humphrey has asked to jump on as well. So what I might do, Simon, is get Wayne on next week and then get you on the week after. And Ty, seems that you're in the house. You need to join and do a would you rather for us.
A would you rather from stateside. That'd be pretty cool.
So Bryant, Lee doesn't live in Stockton, Teesside. I live quite close to Stockton. I believe that linkage to Bryant living in Stockton,
California.
California, yeah. So to be fair, everybody, I know we sometimes run an hour on the show, but to be fair, Nick, I think we've whizzed through everything we needed to whiz through. I just want to give another cheeky plug. The London meet on the 15th of October. Do register. Go on the 49ers website. I believe there was a slight issue that the Niners are looking into. So obviously it looks as if the tickets had all gone. But I think that was just a target that they'd put on there. If you need any more information, do hit us up in the DMs. But that'll be the October the 15th. The event starts at 5 p.m. The game kicks off at 6. But as always, the UK faithful will be taking over the capital city. There's a few people going down the Friday, a few people there the Saturday. I'll be arriving just before 1 o'clock on the afternoon on the Sunday.
So I'm there from Wednesday.
We've moved our hotel, Nick, to a closer one. So the reason I wanted to mention it is for those people who've been or meet up in the past, you know what it's all about. We are trying to grow this fantastic community of ours, both this side of the pond and across the pond. It's been awesome to see the likes of Ty, Nicholas Parra reach out, fly the flag. We've had the flag at every game this year, and I cannot wait till we take over the gold mine. But if you're watching this show, you're listening to the podcast and you think, I want to come to a meet up, but I'm not quite sure what to expect. Lee said it better than I can on the Ty Olsen show. We're a family. Once you walk into that room and you see the red and gold, you see the Niners logo, you won't want to watch football with anyone else. We even have non-Niners fans come to the meetups. So I can't wait for the October the 15th. Alex Simpson is allowed to come to the meetup, Ty. He's just not allowed back on the show for a while. And we've got it. Ty's going to come on and do a would you rather. And whilst we've still got him, Brian, you can come on and do a would you rather as well. The flag has been 3 at 3. I believe we've got some people out there this weekend, Ty. I don't know whether they've taken the flag, but they're definitely part of the group. I cannot wait to meet you in person. Seeing that interview with Lee earlier has definitely got me excited. And before we finish off, Simon says there, the meetups are awesome. The group has made such a massive difference to the way we watched the 49ers. And Nick, we may have something special up our sleeve for after the Buccaneers game. Maybe. Slight little teaser there. Is there anything else that I've missed off, Nick, while I try and find the video which Mr. Gowland forgot to...
Always the same. Always the same. Stalling for time, Paul. No, guys, as always, we just want to say a massive thank you for coming and joining on the show today. This show isn't anything without the people that watch it. We do this because we love our team. We love them just as much as you do. Hell, we're 3-0, baby. We're still perfect. Purdy's still going. And bring on Lombardi. I think there's only one thing left really to say at this point, guys. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, deep card. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going